Hare Krishna, good morning.
Hare Krishna, good morning.
Let us begin our Srimad Bhagavatam study.
Yes.
Take our daily medicine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jai. Parikshit listened spellbound, oblivious to hunger and thirst. Shukadeva continued. Uddhava had been greatly afflicted due to separation from Krishna. After spending the night talking about him with Vidura, he could again perceive his Lord's presence everywhere. Let's pause there. This point is so beautiful, and we all have a certain experience of it. Sometimes we're feeling so sad and down and depressed or something. We pick up Srimad Bhagavatam, or we pick up a bead bag, we start chanting and we start reading. And then immediately we start feeling like Krishna is with me. I'm not alone. And then we start working on our sense of worthlessness and guilt and all. And then we put that aside and we give the Lord the space to walk into our life. So similarly here, Uddhava was, affected by separation of Krishna. We cannot even imagine, even if sometimes we're feeling great in the association of devotees and kirtan, we go home and after maybe a few days, we start feeling a sense of emptiness. Imagine having seen Krishna, touched Krishna, smelled Krishna's fragrance, felt Krishna's skin as soft as the tamal leaves, and then Krishna is gone. He's not there. Oof, it's an unimaginable sense of separation. And at the same time, just like our realization, our association with our Guru Maharaj or our association with our dear devotee friends, how we can remember and bring back those memories and feel their presence. Similarly, Uddhava is feeling the same thing. So we can also feel and perceive Lord's presence everywhere. And the minute we get in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam or the holy name or Sangha of devotees. So that is a saving grace for us. As the sun rose, Uddhava left for Badrikashram. Parikshit appeared confused. How is it that the Brahmin's curse destroyed all the Yadus, including, it seems, even Krishna and Balaram? Yet, Uddhava was unharmed. Shukadeva replied, you should understand that the Brahmin's curse was only a superficial reason for Krishna's disappearance along with his family. The real reason was the Lord's desire. He wanted to end his earthly pastimes after first dispatching his associates back to their respective abodes. But he desired that Uddhava remained behind. Shukadeva emphasized that the Lord's body is spiritual and never dies. This gave rise to a further doubt for Parikshit. He had heard that Krishna had left a material body. Since his form is spiritual, how did he leave a corpse? Shukadeva explained that among Krishna's many forms is a Virata Rupa, or universal form comprised of material elements. When Krishna, who is the original source of all divine incarnations, appears in this world, his other forms, including the Virata Rupa, merge into him. At the time of his departure, all the Lord's forms return to their respective places. The universal form manifests as a corpse, returning into the material elements, whereas the Lord's original spiritual form departs for his eternal abode. Let's pause here and read that statement again. So, because Krishna is original source of all divine incarnations, and he appears in this world, his other forms, including Virat Rupa, merge into him. And at the time of his departure, all the Lord's form return to their respective places. The universal form manifests as a corpse returning into the material elements, whereas the Lord's spiritual form departs for his eternal abode. I like this scientific explanation because sometimes it may sound or seem like a sentimental explanation that no, we will not understand what it is. There's nothing like that in Srimad Bhagavatam. Everything has a proper explanation and we can actually understand everything in the right perspective. And I like that. I like that about Shukdev Goswami explaining, and I like that about Srimad Bhagavatam. I like that about Krishna consciousness. That makes sense. Virat Rupa is all about the mundane material manifestation. The form of Virat Rupa belongs kind of in this world. And we studied that earlier also, how Virat Rupa is, we can see the whole manifestation of, remember the manifestation of all this creation. We can remember Krishna through those manifestations. So similarly, that body belongs kind of in this world and so remains in this world. Whereas, Krishna is the Supreme Lord and he has a spiritual body, and that part, there are elements, right? There are aspects so that that returns. And also death for us is very different. For us, we also leave parts of us, right? If we leave, say I leave a legacy, say I formed some projects and the project remains, whereas my body is gone, but people remember, people still benefited through that legacy. So we can imagine how, if it's possible among human beings, that we can have our forms, so to speak. We have our relationships, we have our projects, which are, not it doesn't go away with the body that dies. So what to speak of the Lord? All right. Shukadeva assured Parikshit that those who regularly hear and chant about Krishna with faith and devotion would understand this truth. The atheist, however, would be baffled. In this way, the Lord conceals his divinity from the faithless, who wrongly think his leaving a material body is a proof of his mortality. That is also very, let's pause there. That is also very interesting because yathamam prapadyante samstataiva bhajamyaham. So depending on our readiness, our willingness, our openness, Krishna reveals. So if we want to doubt, Krishna says, be my guest, welcome. Please go ahead, doubt that I'm a mortal being. You don't have to see me as supreme. Great, good luck. And if somebody says, no, I really want to understand these things, then of course Srimad Bhagavatam answers that. So that's again another saving grace for devotees. Through faith, we can actually understand why Krishna does certain things. There's always an explanation. Sometime I've heard in some Bhakti Shastri class or something, there are certain statements that Srila Prabhupada makes, which is a little bit controversial. And sometimes the teachers go like, oh, this is not for Bhakti Shastri level, we can't answer this question. You have to, there's nothing like that. Everything can be answered if we are ready to explore the depths. One of the questions I had heard was, why, like Prabhupada says, women are less intelligent, right, in the Bhagavad Gita beginning. So some girls had questions about it, like, come on, can you explain that? Why is Prabhupada saying like that? And the Bhakti Shastri teacher could not answer. And the teacher was like, no, this is not answered in this Bhakti Shastri. No, cannot be answered. Because there is a sense of fear or something that we can't explain these things. But these are important questions, that can get us stuck in our understanding spiritual knowledge. So at least for the sake of answering other people, we need to know answers to these kind of questions. So that when intelligent people come, we have an answer. Whether they're ready to take it or not, that's their problem. But we need to be prepared with the answers. And the Bhagavatam gives us the answers. There's a lizard here confirming that.
It also depends on our surrender also. No? If
Yeah,
we surrender
absolutely.
50%, so
Mm.
God will reveal only 50%. It depends on our, this is what I've understood, yeah.
Yes. But we
Mm.
cannot say that people will not understand. We don't know. They may be actually open and they say, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
But we need to do our duty of having the answers to the question. Like this thing about women being less intelligent, etc. If we have the right answers, the people, as you said, according to their level of surrender, they may get it or they may not get it. But
Yes.
we need to have the answers. We need to know the answers ourselves if we want to do our duty.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shukadeva assured Parikshit that those who, okay, that we studied. Yeah, so regularly hearing and chanting, right? I mean, even in human level of interactions, when we hear more and more about somebody and where they come from, their motivation, their intention, we do kind of develop faith, right? Oh yeah, this person, like when we're living with somebody, right? Personally, they may have certain challenges and other people may not understand, but we understand that. We understand that they're not coming from a place of wrong intention or something. They're coming from a place of sincerity. We understand because we live with the person. So having close association to scriptures gives us answers so that we understand these people and we can defend. Sometimes people may offend our close people, like maybe our family members, by saying, oh, they did this, they're doing this, but we may understand their intentions better than the strangers. And then we can defend our family members by understanding them. So similarly, Krishna is our family. Krishna belongs to us and we belong to Krishna. So when people challenge, by being in touch with the scriptures, we understand Krishna better. And we can defend and say, hey, no, that's not right understanding. This is the right understanding. Like that. Rasastali Mataji, would you like to continue reading?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Parikshit carefully considered Shukadeva's explanation. The king knew from his own experience that by hearing and discussing Krishna's teachings, one can directly experience the Lord's auspicious guidance in his life. Krishna himself made this clear to Arjuna when he said, to those who constantly serve me with love, I give the intelligence by which they can know me. On the other hand, he declared that he always hides himself from the non-devotees who can only speculate about the Lord, failing to understand him. Still, Parikshit remained curious as to why Krishna had not taken Uddhava with him. Shukadeva explained that Krishna considered Uddhava the most advanced devotee among all his associates. Knowing that,
Let's pause there.
yeah.
This is to those Krishna's Bhagavad Gita, right? To those who constantly serve me with love, I give the intelligence by which they can come to me. I love that so much, which they can know me as well. Like you were saying, right? Our willingness, our openness to also know. And that's his way to protect he doesn't want to be like Shakuni or Duryodhana. They always kept thinking, Krishna is just a trickster. Krishna is just a trickster. He just knows tricks. And we can beat him with tricks, right? That's how he kept Duryodhana and Shakuni inspired to keep trying. If they only understood Krishna was God, then, forget Mahabharata war. It would never happen. So there is a purpose behind everything. When we see some people and say, oh, why they don't get it? Well, because Krishna doesn't want them to get it, because they're not qualified. That's why, like Krishna is a very sweet, he's a lovesick blue boy who just wants to be loved. That's all. That's why, when in his personal form as Bhagavan, he's actually very sweet, very, very sweet. We know that he goes and steals butter from the houses of gopis, and that butter represents our devotion. He's a very sweet boy. He's a very sweet, vulnerable boy. Just like we too have our softness. We don't want people to see that. We don't like everybody to see our wounds, so to speak. We only share our vulnerable side with close people. So Krishna is a person. That's what means person. He doesn't want everybody to know his actual truth. He only reveals that to those who want it, those who are really sincere and eager to want to have a personal relation with him. Those who are only enamored by his features of Virat Rupa and his features of Brahman and like that, okay, he's like, okay, fine, but it's not a personal relationship. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And something else it says here that yeah, this one. By regularly hearing and discussing, right? Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, then we directly experience the Lord's auspicious guidance in our life. Sometimes, like I was saying, we're feeling down, we pick up Bhagavatam. I mean, the other day, I was doing an astrological reading for somebody. They're sitting here in the room. I'm sitting here, and suddenly Srimad Bhagavatam fell. I have like in the altar, I had Bhagavatam there, set of Bhagavatam, and one of the Bhagavatam just fell. I mean, it had never happened that Bhagavatam fell. Usually, like flower falls as I'm telling something to the devotee. Like for example, I was telling somebody, you should study more. You're not spent your life studying. You should study more. And then the flower fell from the Lord. Somebody else, I was saying, Mayapur is a good place for you. You don't need to go back to Russia. You should stay in Mayapur. And like that, and then the deity garland fell. Like that, things were happening, but Bhagavatam falling never happened.
It's responding now, no? Whatever you're saying.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's like Krishna's auspicious guidance. I mean, it doesn't always have to happen through flower and garland, but sometimes happens, right? Like we're looking for a confirmation. Should I take initiation from this person, or should I go to this yatra or something, right? And then Krishna is guiding us through somebody else comes and says, hey, I think you should do it. Like that. Krishna is guiding through devotees. Krishna is guiding in our heart. And oh God, it's so sweet.
Mhm.
You have any experience to share, Sastali Mataji?
Mhm. I always feel there is Krishna beside me, whatever I do, There's so many instances I forget, while so many instances I have to go somewhere when I'm going. I cannot take decision. It always comes, before me. So there's so
Wow.
many times it has happened. Yes, I always see Krishna's hand there with me, always with me. I feel.
So sweet. Yeah,
Yes,
that's good. He is with us. It's up to us to feel the presence.
yes.
Okay, please continue. Knowing that Uddhava.
Yeah, knowing that Uddhava was never affected by the modes of material nature, Krishna was confident that Uddhava would correctly understand his teachings. Shukadeva said, Krishna, who is the source of all Vedic knowledge and the spiritual master of the universe, instructed Uddhava in knowledge that he had not previously spoken even to Arjuna. He then deputed Uddhava to rely that most confidential knowledge of the mysteries of his appearance and disappearance to Nara and Narayana in Badrika ashram. Uddhava, absorbed in meditation on his Lord, faithfully executed the order. After hearing about the Lord's pastimes, The learning that Krishna had remembered him prior to his disappearance, Vidura was overcome with emotion. Thus, he stayed on the bank of the Yamuna for a few days to regain his strength before setting off for the Ganges, where Uddhava told him he could find Maitreya. My dear king, Krishna's pastimes are difficult for most people to comprehend. Only his devotees who are favored by him can truly understand them. Those who, like animals, are only interested in material enjoyment and who envy the Lord simply become confused by such narrations. Shukadeva began to describe Vidra's meeting with Maitreya. Vidura talks with Maitreya. Vidura inquires about Krishna's role in creation and praises the benefit of hearing about him. Maitreya applauds Vidura for his question and tells him.
So let's pause before this chapter, next chapter. So, yeah, it's not easy to understand Krishna's pastimes. I remember when I was a child, I had a friend, she would like Lord Ram. She would say, oh, Krishna is too, he's very chanchala. It's very difficult to rely on Krishna, and it's very difficult to gain his favor. So I actually prefer Lord Ram. Rama and Krishna are all the same. But the point is, those who, like animals, are only interested in material enjoyment and who envy the Lord simply become confused by such narrations. I like that point because anytime doubts enter the mind, we can convince ourselves that, come on, I just need to purify my heart so I can accept the truth. So beautiful. Now the next is going to be Vidra's talks with Maitreya. It's going to reveal many other beautiful things. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's continue. And tells him, yeah.
He is both Yamaraja incarnate and also Krishna's eternal associate. He describes the events that led up to Vidura's current birth. He then explains that the material creation begins with Mahavishnu glancing at Maya to transform her into the Mahatattva. The Mahatattva manifests all the ingredients for creation: the primary gods, the elements, the sense objects, and the senses. It is the god's job to construct the universal template with these ingredients. Unable to accomplish this task, they pray to Vishnu for help. Vidura traveled on foot to Haridwar. On his journey, he sometimes chanced upon Brahmins engaged in ritualistic sacrifices for securing material happiness. At other times, he came across clusters of ascetics engaged in philosophical debate about how to attain liberation from the clutches of illusion. Seeing the wandering mendicant, they would invite Vidura to rest and eat with them. As a pure devotee of the Lord, he would tell his host that real happiness lay in awakening one's love for Krishna. However, they could not appreciate his good counsel and presented false arguments. Troubled by people's inability to realize the value of Krishna's devotional service, Vidura determined to ask Maitreya how he could establish devotion to Krishna as the supreme goal of life. After many days' travel, Vidura approached the source of the celestial Ganges river in Haridwar. From a distance, he saw an effulgent sage dressed in black deerskin seated beneath a fig tree near the river, his dark hair tied in a topknot. A small fire smoldered next to him. Maitreya had previously visited Hastinapura, so Vidura at once recognized him. Although extremely old, as an accomplished yogi, Maitreya appeared youthful. The elderly Vidura began to run, eager to meet him. Maitreya was also joyous to see Vidura, who bowed before him in obeisance. Raising him Maitreya embraced him and asked after his welfare. After an exchange of pleasantries, Vidura related to Maitreya his recent experiences and said, "Would you mind if I ask some questions?" "Please do," said Maitreya. "Great sage," said Vidura, "in this world everyone seeks fulfillment through the results of their work, but despite their best endeavor, they achieve only suffering. They are
Hmm.
never satisfied and find no end to their misery. Please, therefore, explain how they can find real happiness." Maitreya smiled. Surely Vidura knew the answer to this question, but it was the nature of such great souls to humbly ask for others' benefit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, pause here. This is so true. In this world, everyone seeks fulfillment to the results of their work, but despite their best endeavor, they only achieve suffering. This is so, so, so true. And as an astrologer, I can confirm it. That is true. At the same time, my experience has also been that, hmm, like, let's say I'm bothered with something going on in my life. And then the minute I actually sit down here and I start doing my whatever, helping other devotees, or start doing Bhagavatam, or start giving Gita connection class, or have clients coming in that they have to know, I have to guide them with something in their life. Actually, my trouble really goes away and takes the back seat. Just like that. And then after I hear, like yesterday, I had a client who had so many losses in life. They lost so much money, people betraying them, people cheating them, taking money and running away. I know so many cases like that. Somebody took money and didn't complete the house that he was supposed to build. So much, so much, so much suffering, so much suffering. And as an astrologer, I can see like why it happened. Like, for example, okay, some curse is there, previous life, you tried to like trick and betray, so this lifetime there is going to be that karma. Even knowing these things, it's not giving us peace. There's only suffering. Even knowing that, oh, how I don't even remember what I did and I have to go through this, it's so painful. I've tried so hard, I've worked so hard, and still I'm suffering. So there's so much suffering. There's so much
Excuse me,
suffering.
Mataji, I just wanted to ask, like, if you know the truth, like, do you reveal to them or you tell them what is the reason of their suffering? Do you tell them while?
Yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
it doesn't seem to alleviate, or they are not, it doesn't seem to make them feel better or anything. For example, yesterday I told this person about their previous life. I can see, these things, why this person is suffering. Another lady, another person also, she, she's actually so much in pain because the husband left and betrayed, etc. And I can see clearly in the chart that this person did similar things in previous life. So in this life they're experiencing this, but it doesn't seem to, again, like alleviate the suffering. It doesn't seem to help knowing these things either. In one sense, it only creates more suffering, because maybe without knowing, some people prefer to kind of be, how do you say, blissfully ignorant, like ignorance is bliss. They actually prefer not knowing because they're hoping, oh, maybe the guy will become okay, oh, maybe I'll find a better guy or
Yeah, there is
something.
hope. There is
Hope,
hope. Yeah.
some hope, yeah, there's some hope. But then when I reveal through the chart that, hey, yeah, but you know what, you did some bad things in previous life, so it's still there, that Jupiter, there is this curse, or there is this betrayal that you need to go through in order to clean off that karma or something. It becomes even more difficult somehow when I reveal, because of course I can't lie. I'm like a doctor who has to say, look, you have got cancer, you got only 6 months to live. Sometimes we have to say that. I can't lie and say, oh, don't worry, everything is going to be okay, right?
Yeah, but there is no cure to it. No, that is the thing. But they
Sometimes
have to suffer. Yeah.
they don't have to suffer. That's the point. They don't have to suffer. They can just say, okay, like this lady, okay, she's already 60 and the husband has been very unfaithful and all that and all that. And she figured it out. And it's really a tough time for her because all she has had is this marriage. But I can see that this was going on for years. It's just that she didn't know. And then when she came to know, it was really painful, right? It was really painful. But she doesn't have to suffer. She can just say, okay, this was my karma. And, I was in my previous life doing some nonsense. So in this lifetime, this is happening to me. Okay, I accept this as a, consequence. I am willing to dedicate my life to Krishna. I'm 60. I'm going to just move into a different phase of my life. And I'm not going to expect this hope against hope that he will correct. He's not going to change. He's also 60 something. He's not going to change. That's his mind. That's his karma. So, so many people come to me with dissatisfaction about the husband's betrayal or the dissatisfaction that the husband is not caring enough, is very neglectful. Sometimes we just don't have to suffer. We just accept and say, okay, I'll put my mind elsewhere. We can, but usually it's difficult because karma is there and suffering is there. But if we take shelter of Krishna, it's possible to avoid the suffering and instead just accept it and say, okay, I'll put my mind somewhere else because in this lifetime, it's so clear for me. Some lady came, she's almost 40, hope, right? Hope. Somebody will marry me. Somebody nice will marry me. And she's been rejecting proposal after proposal because she has really big hopes. And I saw her chart and it's so clear. She just doesn't have great karma for marriage life. She cannot get the dream guy, the fantasy guy. She didn't earn it. She just doesn't have it. Then I had to pop her bubble and say, come on, settle for this guy. This guy's coming forward. He may not be your dream guy, but if you miss this chance, you won't get it. I don't see in your chart that you can have that kind. Very few people have that, everything, he's romantic also, he's caring also, he's spiritual also, he'll give good kids also, he can earn also, this and that. You can't have everything, especially if it had to happen, it'll happen when she was 20. She doesn't have that karma and it's not happening until 40 and she's still hope against hope. So like that, there's so much suffering, because suffering is there because there is hope or expectation. But if a person doesn't have material needs, like I know one devotee, that person didn't have marriage karma, they didn't have people didn't, he was not like an attractive type of person, that, but he also didn't have those desires. He didn't want women. He didn't want to work hard for money. He didn't have money. He didn't have women, but he didn't have desires for women and money either. So he was a happy man. See, so it's not that without money and without married life, somebody cannot be happy. But only if we have expectations and no karma to enjoy it, we'll be unhappy. According to the Bhagavatam, even if you have karma to enjoy, you'll be disappointed. Because, those people will never give us the shelter we're looking for. Yeah, it's a reality, right? But some people prefer to live in illusion. You don't want to know. You don't want to know sometimes. But satisfaction is the key. If we can be satisfied and say, Krishna is protecting me somehow. Yesterday, I did another reading for another lady. She was, so many, I think she was married twice and this and that. Things didn't work out, And now she's in Mayapur, and even in her chart, it was very clear that marriage karma was not her thing. And then she came to Mayapur. She's so happy with the service and all that. In Russia, things are really bad situation there. So she's now she can see Krishna's hand that, okay, now I'll dedicate to Krishna. It's enough of trying to look for material acceptance, satisfaction. I'm actually happy everything happened in this way because Krishna brought Mayapur. Like that, we can see it doesn't matter how our karma is. Krishna is always with us and he's always planning the best for us, like a loving father.
Have faith, then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. Faith. faith that Krishna's got your back.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can end here and we can continue from here what Vidura
Tomorrow,
tells
right?
more. Yeah. So thank you, Rasastali Mataji, for your association.
Thank